And a top of the Monday evening, everybody, July the 15th, 2024. We are grateful that you are here with us tonight on a McFiles Monday night, All-Star Monday night. We are grateful to have you. Boom! The Mac Man is in the house. Magdalene Rose is going to be with me in about 7 minutes. Tony Branco is going to be with me here at 10 o'clock tonight. And at some point, James R. is going to be with me. We were trying to wait for President Trump to speak. I don't know when exactly he's supposed to speak tonight, but he is. I saw J.D. Vance with Hannity. I was sort of listening to that interview a little bit before I came on. That is the big news today. A couple of big stories. Let me get to the legal stuff. They threw out the document case. One case gone. 3 more to get tossed out. And I hope and pray they will be. This immunity situation with the Supreme Court a few weeks ago deep sixed a lot of this stuff. And I think that it's just a domino. But the lawfare didn't work. The gun fair has started. And the violent fair started Saturday. And we're going to be talking to Magdalene Rose. J.D. Vance tonight is the big news. And I've already seen some of our side, you know, well, I just don't like the choice. Well, live with it. Live with it. I love it. 37-year-old from Ohio. Nobody was going to be perfect, folks. Nobody. There's no way anybody was going to fit everybody's cup of tea. I have gotten some text in tonight, and one thing that people have basically noticed about him is the youth. There's going to be a lot of energy on this ticket. We all thought Mike Pence was okay back in 2020, 2016, except for the people that probably knew him in Indiana. I was talking to somebody today, and that the Indianians were not that happy with him, and that was sort of kept on lid because Trump wanted him as his VP the first time around, and so forth. But regardless, that's past. I don't care about that. What I do care about is tonight, because we can't go back and rehash 16, 20, or 20. We've got to vote in 2024. And I love this choice. Actually, I predicted it would be Vance. I think last Monday night with James. I had my gut it was going to be Vance. I watched him over the last few weeks, and I felt like that he held his own on CNN. They're already putting out hit pieces on him tonight in Ohio in the papers, claiming that he expects women that are abused to stay in abusive marriages. That's a lie. That he's proposed a national full ban on abortion. That's a lie. Look, spiritually speaking, folks, there should be no issue whatsoever relating to abortion. That's just how I feel. I've always felt that way. I never will change that. In the real world, it's going to come down to the states, though. That's why Roe v. Wade being taken down was so important. It's not a federally mandated law anymore. And these states have got to choose that. And I think that's all that President Trump has been trying to say. I've heard a lot of people claim, well, and somebody wanted to get on my page and use it as a debate forum. That's not a good idea with the Mac Man. Don't do that, because you're going to get yourself kicked off. Don't do that. You want to go debate somebody, go to your own page and your own dojo, but don't come on my dojo. We're not a debate forum here. Trump was basically trying to say what he's tried to say. And I'm not saying I agree with 100% jot and tittle of everything him and J.D. Vance have said on this, but it's got to come. It's going to the states, and they want to keep it in the states. That's all they've said. And he will protect life. President Trump protected life before. He will do it again. I believe that. I wouldn't vote for him if I didn't. I don't know how that gets reconciled with the conservative right and the Christian community that expects this perfection of litmus tests to vote for people. You can't fix stupid. And if you want to have a perfection test, then I tell you what you do tonight before you go to bed. get down on your knees, ask Jesus, say, Jesus, we need you to come out of heaven, come off the throne of God, come down here again in human form and run for president of this country. Because that's the only person, folks, that you're not going to find a flaw with. And that's just the facts. Now, if you don't like Trump and this pick, and you want to sit at home, Chris would usually light the fire and light the air. But I've just calmed down over 7 years. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. And knock yourself out. But if the nightmare occurs, and because you set your carcass home, that the Dems take this thing again, because 30 million Christians decide, well, we don't like Trump. Don't be complaining about the country you're about to get. Folks, you know, I was talking to Susan Gingrich today. We got a fantastic guest coming Friday night. That is the sister of Newt Gingrich. She's going to be our first-time guest here on the McFiles Friday night, probably around 8 o'clock. And I met Susan about 3 years ago here in Knoxville. We were at an anti-masking event. Dr. Stephen Smith put it on. And I asked her then to come on the show. And she told me today, she said, Chris, said in all fairness, she says, I liked you. She said, I enjoyed the conversation, but she said, I've been scared of the media. She said, they've not done Newt right. And she said, I was sort of scared of you, because she said, I didn't know anything about your show. And she says, I've just sort of, you know, backed away from media. But she said, I prayed about this when you asked me again. And she said, the Lord told me to come on the show. And I was tickled. She's a woman of faith. And she goes to a local church here in Knoxville that I know, and good pastors there. And so I'm excited about that. We'll talk about that more as we get into the week. But we got Susan Gingrich coming on Friday night. And we're working on Newt. It made me a little... He was on Laura Ingraham tonight, and I sent Susan a message on Facebook. I said, your brother's on, Fox. And but she's going to be on, and she's got a lot of opinion about this. And one of the things we talked about today was that the Christian community has got to show up at this election. We just do. And if we decide we don't want to show up, I don't care what's happened, folks. You don't listen to these polls. We don't take election polls in July. And I know the excitement is building tonight. It's exciting, and I'm excited about J.D. Vance. I think it's a great choice. Not a perfect choice, but it's a great choice. But we don't elect presidents in July. And between the next 4 months, I heard Trump say this over the weekend or maybe last week, and he was right. He said this before what happened Saturday. He said, the next 5 months, and 4 months really, and you can add 5 because he takes office in January. If he gets elected in November, there's still going to be about a 45-day period between election, probably longer than that, more like 60 days if you get down to it, between election time and when they swear him into office. The next 5 or 6 months, folks, in this country is going to be the most dangerous we have ever experienced in America. I'm telling you, and I'm warning you, it's going to be the most dangerous in America. That's all I got to say. And we better be very cautious, very protective of our families, and so forth. So, we got a great show tonight. James R. is going to be in the house later. Branco's coming up. Magdalene Rose is coming up in just a second here. She is, let's see here. She's wanting to wait till after his appearance. I tell you what, let me do this. I'm going to tell her to go ahead and call, and then I'll bring her back on. Because I want to go ahead and get her in, because I want to give you a chance to chime in. I wish we could carry his speech live. I know a lot of you were probably going to watch that. We're going to be here a while tonight, so if you want to go watch Trump, come on back. We'll be here. I've got my lemonade and my cup and my cookies for the next 3 hours or 2 hours, however long we're going to be. We're going to take your comments. Big story tonight. I do want to share a few things with you. This is huge. I mean, this is absolutely huge. And Larry Kudlow broke this story here just a few minutes ago. And if you will let me play this, this is huge. this is one of many videos to come tonight, and this is an announcement that Elon Musk made just 30 minutes ago, 9 o'clock, related to Donald Trump. It's a huge, huge announcement. We posted it on our private Facebook page, and when I heard that, I jumped up and I said, holy smokes, $45 million a month, $45 million a month, he's pledged to the Trump campaign to help them with a mail-in ballot campaign for 2024. Here's Larry Kudlow and Judge Janine tonight on Hannity announcing this very thing.
Can I just give you some breaking news, please? Courtesy of Shannon Breen. It just came up on the Wall Street Journal. Yes. Elon Musk and a group are pledging $45 million a month to the Trump campaign. All right. Expressly earmarked for mail-in balloting. Wow. That's huge. This is breaking news. I want to give Shannon credit for it, but it's on the front page of the Wall Street Journal website. $45 million a month for early balloting and harvesting.
Now, that is another bombshell. Another bombshell today. I bet the Dems didn't see that one coming. I sure didn't see it coming. I mean, Elon's a Trump supporter. Here's Magdalene right here. And we're going to get her take on it. Hello, young lady. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you tonight. And we bring you right into the fire. I know Trump's about to speak. I may just keep you on the phone and let you tell me what he's saying. How about that?
That's a good idea. Thank you.
You want to do that? We might do that. It's good to see you tonight. And listen, what is your take on what's happened today, man? We've had a lot of going. Let me back up a little bit to you first. And by the way, kids, it's good to see you tonight. I love you. You're precious, just like a dollar to me, and you know that. I want to ask you a question about your thoughts. What happened Saturday first, and then we'll get to J.D. Vance and tonight, and this big news of Elon Musk tonight. But when Magdalene Rose heard what happened at this event in Western Pennsylvania on Saturday, what was your thoughts, and what have you heard among the young people? This kid was 20 years old, Magdalene, that was the shooter. It was unreal. What's your thoughts? And I think it was the earthquake that may have shook this campaign. I mean, look, I'm not saying we can just crown Donald Trump king tonight, because we can't. We're not going to crown him king. We're going to elect him as president. But it did change the dynamics of the election. I do believe that. What's your thoughts on that?
It did, and I was watching that rally live because there was a lot of rumors that he was going to announce his VP pick, or he was going to hint at it. So a lot of people were watching it live. And what I thought was, please just let him be alive, because we don't want any harm to come to him, but also because this country would have been ripped in half. And I think that the level of unrest would have been so bad, it would have been a dangerous place to live because of how Republicans would do it. Because we're in a point now where we don't trust the federal government. We don't trust the news media. So anything that happens to Donald Trump or to his family members, or anyone, or now J.D. Vance because he's his VP pick, and his family, we will view with extreme skepticism. So the idea that Donald Trump would be murdered by just a lone gunman, nobody would believe that. They would believe it was a deep state plot. So it was a very scary moment because of that, but also because we had not had the RNC convention yet. We hadn't had Trump announce his VP pick. We didn't know it would be J.D. Vance. We didn't even know if Trump knew then that it would be J.D. Vance. So what would have happened would have been a convention turmoil. We would have had backroom dealings, and the MAGA people would have been caught completely off guard and unable to really confront it. And I think the RNC and the neocons would have tried to slip someone like Nikki Haley in. And then we would have been dealing with someone who would be elected because Trump was murdered. She would be elected on this wave of Republican enthusiasm, and Democrats would be very demoralized. And then she would enact dangerous policies, and there'd be no way to stop her. So I think that we dodged multiple bullets, of course, but we also dodged the bullet of having a neocon. And when I say neocon, they're not good people. They're trying to enact a corporate war machine. We dodged that happening to our country.
Yes, and I understand all that, and I think that's well said. But I'm going to ask you something. I mean, this is a personal question to you. What, as a young lady, because look, you wasn't alive when Reagan was, when this happened to Reagan. I was. That's how old I am, kid. I go to be your dad. But I remember 1981. That's the last time we had something like this hit the country. This was your first ever being close to this, Magdalene, and what when you saw this, what was your personal feeling? I understand the political stuff, but what did Magdalene Rose think about this being the first time she had witnessed something that came this close? Because this conversation tonight that me and you're having would be 360 degrees different, and it would be very solemn tonight. And I'm not so sure the convention would even be going on tonight. I'm just being honest. I don't think it would have been even going. I think they would have canceled it myself. But that's just me. Reagan was the last time we had something like this happen. An attempt on a presidential candidate, and he was elected president. He had just been elected president in a few months in March of 1981 when this happened before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was afraid on a personal level because I really worried what would happen in this country. I think it could have led to America being such a dangerous place that thought was very, very scary. And I think a lot of young conservatives would have felt that way as well, because he would have looked at it and said, so we now know that nothing is off the table, because there is this built-in fear now of Democrats. Remember when Biden did that ridiculous speech where he was sort of backlit and red and purple lighting and talked about extreme when he did that, to me, that signaled that the Democrats, not only were they comfortable in power, but they sort of wanted to destroy Republicans on a very, very deep level. And watching Trump go down in those few seconds before he got back up, before it was clear that at least cognitively he was okay, all I saw was Democrats really being able to enact a plan where they could lock people up or destroy them or build these sort of conservative concentration camps in a way. And that was a very scary moment. And when Trump got up and he did a fist bump and he said, fight, 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 I think he, of course, did that because he is who he is, but he didn't know what was going to happen to him next. He didn't know if he'd be shot again. And to me, that was a big moment because it was it could have been the last time we heard from him. And he knew that, and that's why he's qualified to be president, because even in those moments, he thinks about his supporters.
What did you think of Joe Biden's response to this as a young person Saturday night? Because I thought his response was absolutely insulting to every one of us out here, Americans. Definitely insulting to the MAGA, but what he don't realize, what he did was insulting to the country. To me, it was insulting, what he said.
It was. And it's so odd because I didn't even know that Oval Office address was happening. The White House did a very odd thing. They talked about it like it was such a big deal after the fact, but they did almost no promotion of it happening. There was not this lead-in on the news channels in the same way, not that I saw. There weren't all these young liberal influencers posting about it. They purposefully did not advertise that Oval Office address. And I think the reason for that is because we all know, look, you can be the most diehard liberal in the world, but you know your side's been the one pushing this. You know that Maxine Waters and all of them pushed it when she said, get in their face, make them not be comfortable here. Democrats caused this. They caused this language. And you mentioned this young guy who did this shooting. He's 20 years old. So in 2016, he would have been about 12. He has spent his formative years in puberty hearing that the entire country is in constant threat because of Donald Trump. And Democrats went out there and they said these things and they made it seem like Republicans were Nazis and all these horrible things. What did you expect? You know, when I first saw the shooting, I thought to myself, it's probably some young guy who's just been deep in the propaganda. Because this is what happens when you push an entire generation into thinking, first of all, that climate change is going to kill everyone, which it isn't, and that Trump is some existential threat to democracy and human rights. What you create sleeper cells, you create bombs that are just waiting to go off, and one did.
Yeah, it did, buddy. And look, I think that, as you said, I mean, it's more than dodging a bullet. I think the impact of this country, Magdalene, and I've got a nightmare scenario that I would have seen happen, and I'm not so sure that we would not be under martial law tonight. I'm telling you, there were so many dominoes that were ready to fall had that happened and went another way. I do want to ask you this. I know this ain't your area of expertise, but I do want to ask you this as Magdalene Rose tonight. What did you think of the Secret Service's role in this? Mm-hmm. Are they not a pathetic organization? And I don't mean the rank and file. I know there's a lot of good agents in there. But I tell you what, the head of the Secret Service tonight, she needs her backside fired. Not suspended, not put to Congress. She needs her butt fired yesterday for what happened. What happened in Pennsylvania Saturday.
It was interesting because as we were watching it, before the shooting and after, my mom and I are watching it, and my mom was saying there's a lot of women on his security detail. Like, that's a lot of women for a Secret Service. We could see 3. I think there were 2 others or so. And of course, you want women to have opportunities. But if you change all of these standards to become a member of the Secret Service, in order to fit a new demographic, you're going to have problems.
You
and
think?
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind women as crowd control. You're trying to stop things.
Come on.
But protecting a former president alone, right? And then the fact that he is the other major political party nominee. This is not the job for the newbies. And I'm sorry that that's offensive to women who want to be in the Secret Service. Look, if that's your life goal and you can pass all the tests, more power to you. I think it's a great thing to have. But you could tell that at least 2 of those women had no idea what they were doing. One of them couldn't holster her gun. The other one you can hear saying, what do we do? Where do we go? How is that allowed to happen? And I wonder how many times the Trump campaign, the Trump team, and the Trump family raised this issue and were ignored by the Biden administration. Because I'm going to bet when we get the full rundown that it was quite a lot.
Ton. No, it was a ton. It was a ton, kid. Big story tonight. Elon Musk gives Trump $45 million a month for mail-in ballot. I know that you have really preached and harped on that. You have beat the drum for that, and you said that the Republicans needed to get with the program because the Democrats were kicking our butts in that. When you heard that, of course, that's a breaking story just within the last 45 minutes. What do you think about that? I think that's a jolt, but I think the optics of that is probably more important than even the ground game. Because I think Elon Musk has always been viewed by the Dems as this big evil man, but I don't think they really thought he was like a big Trump supporter either. Magdalene, to give somebody $45 million a month, I mean, I just wish they'd give me that one time. I just wish somebody would do that one time. What about you?
Well, you know what's interesting is that there was a summit that was about sort of electric vehicles and that push within the car industry. And Elon wasn't invited. And when that happened, I think that Elon began to plot his revenge. And very similar to that White House Correspondents' Dinner where Trump was invited and Obama mocked him. And you can see Trump like formulating his campaign strategy in that minute. So I think they've both had those moments. And I think the problem that Democrats have is that Elon is a hero to millions of young men. So Trump's done a very smart thing. He picked J.D. Vance, and in doing so, he cemented his lead amongst young white men especially. And then the other guy they look up to is Elon Musk. So he's got both of these people, and Elon's putting his money where his mouth is. The country's in shambles. It's a disaster. Inflation is killing people in this country, just down to not being able to afford food. Elon decided to do something that liberal billionaires do constantly. And when they invited those other minor electric car manufacturers to that summit, Elon had tweeted out snarky things. He'd said snarky things about it. But I think it really troubled him because his life's goal was to change the types of vehicles on the road. He had done that and he was dismissed by Democrats. He's making sure he'll never be dismissed by Democrats again.
As a young person, the first thing that struck me, and I've had people respond to me today saying that the Vance pick, when they heard about it, they felt like it was wisdom because it does appeal to the younger voter. And the knock on Trump and Biden both, Rose, is that they're old white guys. They're, 1 foot in the grave, and Trump's even going to be 80 years old by the time he takes office and all this, or by next year this time. And Vance sort of knocks that out. Kamala has got, she couldn't generate excitement for a one flea funeral, okay? Vance is different. I've watched him on CNN, and he has held his own with this liberal mishmash garbage can of puke that comes from the liberal network. I've been actually proud of him, and I really, about a week ago, I was on the show one night, and I said, that's my man. I feel like Vance is the best choice for Trump, and I weighed that, and I know Tim Scott was yours, and there was pros about Tim Scott. I know a lot of people wanted Ben Carson. I know some folks, I didn't hear too many Rubios out there, but I did hear Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and even Sarah on tonight's show, I think Jesse asked her, he said, your name, or maybe Sean, he said your name had come up, and she basically said that her and Trump had talked, and she really didn't want that position right now. She's enjoying being governor of Arkansas and doing a hell of a job at that. But does Vance bring in, and you mentioned the solid young white guy, but does he not also appeal to the young white woman?
He does, and I will tell you, young women like him. He's sort of got this ruggedness about him. A lot of people have teased him for the beard, but the beard is something that I think has been pushed out of politics because it wasn't clean enough. It wasn't all well put together, but we don't need that anymore. We've tried that, and it's been an unmitigated disaster. So when you try to put in country club Republicans who have the perfect tie and pocket square and not a speck of a beard, you kind of get a country that's a disaster. So I think young women will like J.D. Vance, but they'll also like his family. He has 3 young children. I think his oldest is 6 or 7. He's got 2 boys and a girl. He's married to a woman he met in college. They're college sweethearts. There is a package here. And I think the DeSantis family tried to create this. They were obsessed with creating Camelot. But you can't try to create Camelot. You can notice you have it and amplify it. And that's what is going to happen, I think, with the J.D. Vance family, is they're going to amplify what exists. And I saw J.D. Vance's wife tonight. And what I appreciated about her was she was not decked out in red. She didn't have huge amounts of makeup on. She looked very natural.
Very well said.
She looked like somebody who was just there to support her husband and believes in Republican policies and is a Christian and all those things. And that was something that was nice to see. And I think it would help the Republican Party in branding to have her and Melania next to each other. First of all, it's aesthetically pleasing. They both have a good balance. And they're also both people who you would not 20 years ago would have thought would be the spouses of the 2 men on the ticket. So it's a good balance.
Kid, that's why I love you. You just have some of the most excellent, and you just make me feel stupid. I'm just going to tell you. I would never think of that in a million years. And I say that with my tongue in my cheek. I'm proud of you. You give me so much pride because I'm sitting here thinking, I didn't think of that. That's exactly right. But you're right. And I love what you said. Look, you can't create Camelot. And I think, as you was talking, I was thinking about this. J.D. Vance helps him more politically than DeSantis ever could. And this is why. Vance is from the Midwest. He is from Ohio. I think Ohio was never in play. The Biden campaign even pulled out of Ohio. But what people don't realize is Pennsylvania is next door. And Wisconsin is to the north. And Michigan is to the north. And those 3 states, Vance is going to have a pull because he is a Midwestern guy. And he will understand that. DeSantis would have never understood the Midwest. He would have understood the South. But I think Trump's base in the South. I think this stuff Saturday, Magdalene, look, if there's anybody left on the fence as to what party's willing to do much evil to win this election compared to the other one, then they're just plain blank and stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. They need to go back and they need to get mental help, psychological help. And people know how I feel about psychology. I would even suggest it tonight. If you can't see a party, and we're going to play some video, one other question, I'm going to let you go. Do the Democrats, and this is a weird question, an opinion question, the way I look at it, they didn't pull the trigger Saturday, but they had their hands on that gun by their rhetoric for the last 4 years about Trump.
Yeah, they did.
Do you agree with that?
I do. I absolutely do. And it's an interesting point. I don't remember specifically who tweeted this out, but I saw several conservatives do it, where they said, so you're saying we're so happy you're alive to the guy you labeled as Hitler for many, many years. And that's really the truth here, because you can't have it both ways. It can't be the biggest threat to democracy and evil and horrible and all these things, and you can't also be happy that the guy missed. That doesn't work.
It don't work.
And I think that Democrats had caused this. It's never Democrats who get hurt. Have you noticed that? It's always our people on the congressional baseball field. It's always Rand Paul getting attacked 15 different ways all the time.
Come on, buddy.
It's Trump being shot at.
Come on.
And that is because we have a problem with Democrats and political violence. They are an unhinged people in general. And you have to look at one person wrote this on Twitter as well. So a man fires into a crowd pretty randomly aside from aiming for President Trump, and he hits a former fire chief. I mean, think about that. He hits a pillar of a community, because those are the kinds of people who go to Trump rallies. They are those kinds of efforts to make a community better. That's the kind of thing that happened. And they used language that pushed Trump as being evil. And when you do that, You make people think, I'm going to stop a big bad evil. And Joe Biden, in his recent interview, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, he was asked about his rhetoric. It was a sit-down interview, and he said, well, how else am I basically supposed to explain what Trump is if I can't use those terms? They think he's evil. They should just say they're not happy he's alive, because that would be more truthful.
I'm with you, buddy, and I agree with that. We're going to play some video here later tonight on this McFile All-Star Monday night. And I've got the All-Star Magdalene Rose. Listen, I want you to hang loose this week. We may be putting you back in even more so than just tonight, because we got a lot to go this week, and I may call you back and get your take on it.
Yep.
So, Vance, in your opinion, thumbs up then in Magdalene Rose's book. Good pick tonight.
I think it's a good pick, and I think it's a pick that will actually help Trump govern. I watched the J.D. Vance interview with Hannity. It's funny because 8 years ago, Hannity was doing this exact interview with Mike Pence, and he was saying, I'm there to help Trump govern. I'm there to help him do all these things. Trump is a man who does need help governing. I think if Mike Pence had been a better sort of governor assist to him, it would have been an easier time for Trump. He doesn't understand the legal system in the same way. But J.D. Vance is 2 years in the Senate, first of all, and it helped them get legislation through. But also J.D. Vance said something very smart. He said, I'm not going to air my grievances with Trump because I'm not trying to score points with the media. Trump may have finally found someone who's not obsessed with being liked by CNN, and that can only help him.
Buddy, that's so well said. And, you know, we've been sort of bantering back and forth in the network about loyalty versus strategic. I think you got both. I think, JD, what I saw tonight, that Trump has got somebody that's going to have his back to the end. And Magdalene, look, God forbid something happened to President Trump. I feel comfortable tonight that J.D. Vance will be our next president. And I think a Vance Huckabee Sanders ticket in 28 carries this on beyond this year. And I'm comfortable in that, too. And I think that's a dynamic duo for coming up 4 years from now. And I just feel, I felt I had a gut it was going to be him. I did. I just had a gut a week ago. And when I heard it today, I felt relieved inside. I felt something rise up in me that said, this is right. This is exactly who he needs. And I think that you've confirmed that tonight. Buddy, listen, I know it's late. And listen, I love you to death. And I appreciate you. Thank you for your insight tonight. Do not go far off that phone. Because if the world ends tomorrow, Rose, I'm going to call you back and bring you back on, okay? I'm just saying. But I'm going to get you back on Thursday night probably and Friday, okay? And we'll talk some more, kid. God bless you, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Have a good night, dear. Bless you, friend. Magdalene Rose, everybody. Bless some fire in that house. She is such a wonderful, wonderful kid. And I'm just proud of her. And I do want to do this before we get Branco on here in a minute. Did you enjoy Magdalene tonight? Put some fire in that house. Jason says, royalty requires loyalty. Yes, it does, Jason. That's very well said, brother. That's very well said. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. All that fire in the house. Well, Roger, I know that in the beginning we all thought Pence had his back. I sort of disagree with that a little bit, Roger. I don't think anybody, there wasn't a lot of love for Mike Pence. If I remember correctly, I mean, I was like, okay, Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana. I mean, I didn't fall head over heels with Pence, never was. Your point's well taken, but Pence was a swamp creature from the beginning, and it really is part of the learning process of Donald John Trump. J.D. Vance has not been sullied by Washington. And I love what Magdalene said. He don't care to look and stick it in the face of CNN and MSNBC and not blink an eye doing it. And not be critical of Trump. Because Pence, in his save my blank side moments, that's all he did. Your point's taken. I think it's different. I think J.D. Vance is going to be an excellent vice president. I do. I'm proud of him. And we do need to pray for him. I didn't bring it up with Magdalene. I'm going to bring it up with Branco. They're going after him. They're already doing it tonight. He ain't even been announced for 1 hour, and the press is already bringing out the accusation and the knives and the slurs and the innuendo and the slander and the lies, which the press does. And all I can tell you all is just get ready to take a bath, because he's gonna need our prayers. He's gonna need our prayers. Anyway, and I think that's pretty good. I think most people are agreeing with that. That Pence didn't generate a lot of whoop-de-doo. He didn't with me. I wish he would have done. I talked to Susan Gingrich about it today, and we're going to talk about it Friday night. Pence could have done more just to help the situation in 2020. I'm not saying that he had to stop everything, but he could have done more. And he could have stood with Trump when the fire got on him, and he didn't. And I think that ruined, if he had any hope of ever getting back into politics, he burned not only his bridge to Trump, but he burned his bridge to the American people, especially the Republican Party. If he ever runs for anything, I think if he ran for janitor at Motel 6, he would not have the base behind him. And I'm not going to get into his personal life. It's not about Mike Pence tonight. That is past. J.D. Vance is the man. And he's only 2 or 3 years older than my oldest son. So I've got a lot of empathy for him as a dad. And I'm proud. And I like the beard, because Brandon's got a beard. It sort of looks like my middle son, to be honest with you. I just adopted him. So, JD, if you're out there tonight and you want to have a fun interview, come on to McFiles. We'll give you a full hour, man. You can light it up. You can light it up. We'll let you do that. Anyway, and yes, Pence was definitely part of the swamp. Hey, I want to play a video or two for you, then we're going to get Tony Branco on here, and we got James Akers coming up tonight, and James R2. Don't let the Democrats and Joe Biden today. Joe Biden did an interview with Mr. Lester Holt, Lester the Loser, from the losing MSNBC network, or NBC, the Nothing But Crap network, the All But Crap network, the Constant Bullshit network, and the MS Nothing But Crap Bull Crap network. I'm going to give Fox a slight pass right now. Some of the guys have somewhat seen Jesus, but most of them still haven't. Don't trust him, but I'll keep my friendly fire off of Fox tonight. But Joe Biden is saying that he's not the one that instigated it, and Lester, to his credit, he said, well, didn't you say put Trump in the bullseye? His response tonight was classic. He said, well, I didn't say put him in the crosshairs. So I wasn't responsible for this. And the Democrats are running for cover tonight. They are frozen in fear. They're frozen in fear. I'm going to get the Secret Service later. I'm dealing with the Dems right now. But I do not want you to forget what I'm about to play for you. I'm going to play 2 quick videos. They're about a minute and a half apiece. Do not forget this rhetoric. I'm going to turn my mic off so it won't vibrate. But these are the Dems over the last 8 years or so. This is courtesy of those that are claiming that they're not responsible for what happened Saturday when we liked to lost President Trump to a assassin's bullet. Roll the tape.
I'd be ready to throw a punch. Well, you have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I think I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania.
And that's just a sample, folks. There's more than that. There's more than that. That's just a sample. And I'm sure more of that's coming out. I do want to show you one quick thing, and we got Branco waiting in the wings here. Amy Miller sent me this today, and this is from her town of Sioux Falls. This is a counselor at a middle school, of all places, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This is her social media post, and she said, shoot, if only he would have had his scope sighted incorrectly. That's just one of many. That's just one of many. And I'm sure more of this is going to surface. And we've got a news story that I want to show you what happened to that. And I'm going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to get Branco on the phone here. Let me call him right now while we're doing this. But the South Dakota announces a termination after the Trump-related post. She got fired. And Tony, good to see you tonight, buddy. I'm about to bring you on just a second.
You doing this via camera?
You're on live right now. You're on the phone right now with us. So bear with me just one second. I'm about to introduce you to the people. I'm showing them an article here. We're just going live tonight, but I'll get back to this. Let me come back to our live feed here. But the bottom line is, folks, that school counselor, adios. Go get you a job at McDonald's or Arby's, because you won't be teaching again in South Dakota, and hopefully you never will be teaching again in the entire world. Tony Branco is in the house, comicallyincorrect.com. Brother, good to see you tonight. Not see you, but sort of see you. He's going to be going on some R&R here soon, and I'm glad we could get him on Monday night. Buddy, I tell you what a turn of events since we last talked just a week and a half ago. I'm going to get with you first. Let's talk about the assassination attempt Saturday. Tony Branco, what were you doing Saturday? When you first heard about this, and how did you feel when you heard? I know me and you sort of alluded to the fact on our last interview that we wasn't surprised this was coming, brother. We knew that they were going to try something.
No, in fact, I did a cartoon a few months ago about this very thing. In relation to what happened to Kennedy. In the cartoon, it said the DOJ guy saying, well, what happens if we can't take him out with all these lawfare cases? And then you have the CIA guy looking over at a picture of Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, and that's just the cartoon. So it's alluding to what might happen to Trump. And we all been talking about it. We all been praying about it. And well, lo and behold, we knew it was coming. We were hoping it wouldn't, but they've run out of options. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial or anything, but they've run out of options. Their cases are all falling apart. Everything they've tried against him, and then lo and behold, this looks like it was a last attempt to get him off the field. And I know it sounds conspiratorial, but they have their ways of making things happen to where it doesn't get back to them. And if it isn't, even if it isn't that, it is them. They have been laying the bed for this. They've been trying to promote it. They've been enticing. They knew somebody out there was crazy enough to try it. And all their rhetoric has pointed some lunatic in that direction. Now, there's some gaping holes in the security, and a lot of people can't put their finger on or can't understand how in the world this big gap in security could happen, and how a guy could just get in there with a gun, climb up on a roof, and nobody sees him. It took Trump fans to see what was going on. They had to point it out. But there should be a parameter set up to where some guy walking through that parameter with a gun should have been stopped then, let alone climbing up a ladder up on the roof. And nobody, no intelligence or no Secret Service or people responsible saw it. And it's bewildering to me. And then it takes, a few minutes. He's allowed to get three or four shots off or more. 7 or 8. He's more like 7 or 8. Yeah. Before they take him out. Exactly. After they've been warned he's up there. There's just something really smells bad about this. And I'm not blaming any one particular Secret Service agent, or it just doesn't smell right. And it opens it up to conspiratorial theories, even if there isn't one. Well, that's right. Well, look, let's just be honest with you. And I heard what Jesse Waters said, and I had to laugh about it. He said, the cops were canvassing the building. How did the kid get up there? Was he Spider-Man, for God's sake? He had to be walking up some steps, and somebody had to notice he had the gun, Tony. He had to be, it's like the Las Vegas shooter. I mean, these hotel people say, well, I didn't know that he had automatic machine guns in those big cases of his. I mean, something should have clicked on somewhere that this kid is not going up there to take a sunbathing incident in a warm day in Pennsylvania. Absolutely. Yeah, there's just big gaping holes in this. And I don't understand how it could even have gotten to the point where he even was able to get up on the roof, let alone get shots fired off. And, but they failed. And of course, if the CIA or the deep state had anything to do with it, there isn't going to be any trail back to them. But, do you think that the Republicans have got the balls to hold this Secret Service lady responsible? Because I lay it at her feet tonight. Look, the rank and file only did what they were told to do. I'm like you, I'm not gonna come down on the rank and file, but I'm coming down on the establishment and the administration tonight. And Tony, I'm just gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say it. I'll lay this at Joe Biden's feet. I'm sorry, I do, because I know Mayorkas is really the one over the Secret Service, but you know who Mayorkas answers to? He answers to Mr. Joseph T. Biden. And absolutely. Harry Truman once famously said, the buck stops here. Well, guess what? The buck stops with Biden. And I guarantee you what I read tonight, if this report is true, that some of the detail that was supposed to be with Trump got pulled off because Miss Jill wanted to go freaking shopping Saturday while Trump was speaking in Pennsylvania. So, screw President Trump. Let's just make sure Jill is safe at Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue Saks on her shopping spree. Yeah, Jill had something to go, so they pulled him off. And but there's no excuse for it. There should be plenty. And this DEI hire that is in control of the Secret Service, she should be fired immediately. And she's the one that said she went within the next while she wants to hire at least 30% more women. What the heck is that? What happened to meritocracy? You shouldn't be focused on whether they're black, white, female, male. There should be who is the best for the job. That's where our focus should be. We need to get back to that, because this is rampant throughout the Biden administration, this DEI hire stuff. We want the best. We don't want, I'm sorry. I think women belong in the Secret Service, but not guarding a 6'4" man when she's only 5'3". That doesn't even make sense. They should have adequate. It should meet the case, and I'm just I'm kind of rambling here, but the thing is that it didn't look good. The whole thing around, even when they were, I know that the women that were there were trying, but I'm wondering if they should have even been there.
Well, I heard, and Eric Caron's going to be with us tomorrow night, and he is a former federal agent, and he told me, and I heard it somewhere else, that did you believe that she would not let the Secret Service wear red ties on their job because it was too much like MAGA? And she was bringing it down to the freaking color of ties they wore, Tony. That's how insane. And I got a few other words I'd insert in. But I'm telling you, this is why the nation is in the pit it's in. And if the Democrats want to blame somebody for the reason the American people are piss poor tired of this, look in the blanking mirror. Because that's who is at fault here tonight. Nobody else.
But you even have some of the people in the media, and you have some people in the bureaucracy. I think it was somebody in the FBI was just heard saying they were sorry he missed, or they need to get somebody with a better aim. I think one of the congressman's staffers was fired because she had mentioned that she was disappointed that he missed. This is the kind of rhetoric that comes from the left. If any of us on the conservative side were to say something like that, against Obama or anybody else, they would have fried him. They would have fried him in the media. But yet the media is, I believe, a big part of what the rhetoric and this dangerous rhetoric that they've been flying around for years. Trump is a Hitler. Trump is a dictator. Trump is going to destroy America. Trump is America's going to end. Democracy is going to end. All this stuff is totally not true, and they're the ones that are reflecting who they are by saying those things, because we know that they're anti-democracy. We know that they replace the word. When they say democracy, they mean their power and control. It has nothing to do with democracy.
Has nothing to do with democracy, Tony. Let me shift gears with you. Trump picks J.D. Vance. Tony Branco, thumbs up or thumbs down? I think it's a great pick myself. I think that J.D.'s going to bring a lot of energy to this ticket. He's young. I pray for his family. I pray for what's about to hit him, and I hope that I think he's got the stamina. I've watched him on CNN. He has held his own against these liberal pukes, and I think we've got a good one. I do, and I'm looking to 28, and I'm already beginning to call for a Vance Huckabee Sanders VP, Vice President, and Sarah Huckabee in 2034 or 2036, I should say, if she wants it. But what's your thoughts on that tonight? I thought it was a great pick. I do. I think
it's an awesome pick for a lot of different reasons. Number one, he's very, very intelligent, speaks well. He has a way of being able to twist these CNN, MSNBC people up in knots when he gets on, and they're going to have to deal with him. But he has to. And I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's well aware that they're going into every corner of his life to find some kind of dirt that they can twist into something. And so far, all I've heard is that he said a lot of bad things about Trump 8 years ago. Well, I said a lot of bad things about Trump 8 years ago because I didn't know who he was.
Exactly.
And and the only reason I voted for him 8 years ago, he wasn't Hillary. And I said, we might as well try this because Hillary is definitely a no-go. And so but because of the 4 years and because of he actually saw Trump in action like I did and like many of us have, we actually saw him complete his promises, work hard, all at the same time by being attacked by the left. Russia, Ukraine phone call hoax, litany of attacks from the left trying to lawfare him off the stage while he was getting his promises done.
Yeah, I know.
We all know that. He's got to be the toughest guy I've ever seen in politics. And I just don't know of another one, that I've ever seen that would be able to deal with everything he's dealt with from the Democrats and survive an assassination stand up and shake his fist to fight. That was the most patriotic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
He didn't cower down. He didn't cower down and let the CIA cover him while he walked off. He pushed him out of the way and said, wait, and he put his fist up to let everybody know he was okay, but also his anger and his, he just wanted everybody to know he's okay and that we need to fight. I'm
with you, buddy, 1,000,000% on that. Big other story, a couple of big stories I want to get your take on real quick here tonight. Elon Musk is pledging $45 million a month to Trump. I can't wait to see the Branco cartoon on that one. Well, wow. I can't look. I was looking at your website just now to see if I could pull a good one. I thought you'd be busy today. Now, Branco, I expect more out of the varsity team. I know you're going on vacation, man, but come on. Now, you could have had 16 cartoons up by this time tonight. You know how it is, man. But seriously, though, what's your thoughts on that? I think it's a game changer. I think that the Dems may never – I didn't think they ever dreamed Elon was going to endorse Joe Biden, but I don't think that even the Dems saw $45 million a month coming out of his pocket to help Donald Trump.
No, I don't think they saw that coming either. But the thing is that they have a lot of money too, but they don't want to. They don't want to put it towards Biden. So a lot of people have held off on donating. Yeah. So I, and what I'm really afraid of in all this, because I mean, I commend Elon for doing that. I think it's a great thing. It also will pull a lot of people. Followers of Elon who are Democrats and who are leftists who love Elon, but let them see a second look at what's happening. Why is Elon doing? He's one of the smartest guys in the world. Why is he voting for Trump? And they get a second look at it. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. I hope that I just don't want us to get complacent. That's my biggest fear. Because we know that the Democrats are very crafty and they're evil and they will do anything they can. They'll pull out all the stops to try to defeat him. And if we get complacent thinking we have this in the bag, we could still lose. I'm sorry to say, especially with their cheating.
My famous saying, Tony, is we don't elect presidents in July. And I know that right now Trump's on a high. The polls are showing great things, but we don't elect people in July. And I'm with you 1,000 million, 10 million, 100 billion%. That
nobody can stay home.
No, nobody can stay home. And we need to forget. We need to look at that we're behind in every poll tonight. That's how we need to be acting on the right. What did you think of Joe Biden's response to all this with the assassination attempt and the media's response, how pathetic that was? I thought that it was insulting, the things he said Saturday. And every interview he's done tonight, he comes out there, and this too, I can't wait to see the cartoon on this. When he told Lester Holt tonight, he said, well, I didn't mean to put him in the crosshairs. I just said to put Trump in the bullseye, to look at him, not the bullseye of a gun. I mean, it's a pretty lame response. But what was Tony Branco's take on his response to all this as president?
Well, it goes back to Sarah Palin. Remember when she was ridiculed and run through the mud and the fire, and they tried to destroy her because she, on her website, put these crosshairs in these certain areas to put more emphasis on political campaigning. And Democrat after Democrat after Democrat has done the very same thing. In fact, they pulled up pictures of other Democrats who did similar things with the crosshairs, yet they ridiculed her. And the double standard in the media is beyond anything that I've ever seen, because if this was reversed, you know exactly where the media would be going with this. If Trump would have said, put him in the crosshairs or put him in the bullseye,
my God,
assassination tip on Biden, they would have blamed the entire thing on Trump.
Well, he'd have been in jail. They would have. The Secret Service would have visited him, Tony. They would have went to his house and probably arrested him.
Yeah. Well, somebody did say that the first assassination attempt was the storm on Mar-a-Lago from the FBI, because they had all the emergency wagons ready for somebody to die.
That's an excellent
And they had a shoot-to-kill order if they, just ridiculous, over-the-top attitude and these guys, these deep staters, they're scared because they know that when Trump gets in there, he's going to turn everything upside down. He's going to get his own people in there. They're going to root this stuff out. People are going to be fired.
I'm holding up your cartoon, and it looks like this one was from today or yesterday, January 20, 2025. No one is above the law. And Trump's holding it up. Comey, McCabe, Garland, Wiseman, Pelosi, Hillary, Clapper, Brenham. And I think the Biden family might be a little nervous tonight, too. I think that's why he's so nervous about Trump. And I think that Hunter and all of them, I think the whole bunch of them, you can put Obama's name on there. Brother, I'm going to tell you something. There's palpable fear in that Democrat Party tonight. There's just as palpable fear.
Well, yeah, especially this. Everything they've tried has turned against them and gone the other way. All the lawfare has raised his polls. All the New York lawfare they had against him. The Russia hoax, and now the assassination attempt is just pushing him up on the polls. They can't do anything that can bring it down. It's like, I'm not saying they won't in the October surprise or whatever they do around that time. No, he's got something in their bag to pull out, like the what was that phone call that he made on a bus that he didn't know he was being taped? Yeah. They hid that for 10 years.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to ask you a question. We're going to keep you about 5-10 more minutes. Listen, do you think they are going to bury this investigation of this 20-year-old kid? What's your hope? Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being that we get the truth, 1 being we get bullshit. Scale of 1 to 10. Does the truth ever come out about this kid? Do you think that there's ties that he's going to have to some Democrats that they don't want? I know he's 20. I mean, Magdalene Rose made a great point, and she's a sweet kid. She is so smart, and she made a great point, Tony, that he would have been 12 years old when Trump got elected in 2016. 12. Okay, for 8 years, he's heard nothing but Trump is Hitler, Trump is the devil. You got to kill him, you got to shoot him, and this kid acted on it. But do you think there's more to this that is going to be buried? And do you think that the fingerprints of the Secret Service on this is what is going to be buried as well? Because I got a theory tonight that probably if I was to say, I'd get my network yanked. I'm going to wait till August after get this strike off my network, and I'm going to let it all hang out because I've got a concern about something. And I'm telling you, I've just got a lot of... I can't say what I want to say tonight. But anyway, what is your thoughts? Do we get a fair, transparent investigation of this?
No. I mean, just to be simple, no. If it's held by this FBI or this CIA, you're not going to get it. And even if you did, how you couldn't trust it. You just couldn't, because of all the shenanigans that they've done over the last 8 years with this guy. The Russia thing, everything, the Ukraine phone call. They've lied so much. The 51 investigators that are intelligence agents that said that the Hunter laptop wasn't real. It was Russian disinformation. How are you going to trust those people to investigate an assassination attempt that might lead back to them? That's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen, brother. It ain't going to happen. No, it ain't.
I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying how can you trust it? It's just one of those things that because nobody probably about 20 years ago, people had faith in the FBI to do the right thing and to be stellar, but I think they're as low as Congress right now. They don't trust them.
That's pretty low. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. Hey, final question for you. The lawfare thing, one of the cases got tossed today, the documents case. See what's so ironic what you said a while ago about Mar-a-Lago. They raided Mar-a-Lago, Tony, for the document case. Today, a judge basically called it what we always knew it was. It was a political witch hunt, and she tossed it. It's no longer Trump got set free today, and I got a feeling that the other two are going to follow the same suit. I think Marshawn is not going to let go. But I'm going to tell you something. That immunity case a few weeks ago, I think it was a deep six. But do you think that this sets off the summer of hate. Do you think that the lawfare has failed officially? Now we better hold on to our seats for the next 6 months. Trump said it, and I didn't get to listen to the speech tonight, but he said it just a few weeks ago before even this happened Saturday. He said the next 5 months are going to be the most dangerous we've ever seen in this country. I'm going to leave you that as a final thought and wrap this up, but I think we're in for some dangerous times, and this summer is not going to be one without drama. And we've already had it.
No.
We've already had it.
No. The Democrats are already setting out the pallets of bricks, or they've got them lined up to deliver them to the different areas. These people are insane. Just look what happened when he was elected the first time, the rioting and it was phenomenal that it got out of hand. It's going to do it. They're going to do it again because that's who they are. They are people that will do this. The J6 thing, it was nothing compared to, you had a bunch of people meander around the hall. You had some people that did some bad things, but overall, they didn't destroy anything. They didn't burn the place down. They didn't try to burn the place down. And we don't know how much of that had to do with the FBI or the inside. And that we do know that a lot of it had to do with Pelosi not allowing the National Guard to be there. But yeah, these people are dangerous. Just look at the rioting that they're doing now over the Hamas-Israel thing, the rioting and the protesting. It's going to get bad, and we have to prepare ourselves. And I hope that Trump and D.C. and all the surrounding areas are ready for it.
I know this ain't your expertise. I know you're more of a cartoon guy, and I don't mean this. No, I don't mean this bad. I mean this seriously. But I do have to ask you a question about the 30-minute lapse of that shooter being on that roof without any kind of action by the Secret Service. Is there a protocol that you are aware of that the Secret Service would, if there is a threat like that they don't wait or hesitate? And
no.
Is there? It just has not. And I knew that, in the heat of things. Look, I'm giving the rank and file a little bit of a break. I'm not giving the heads and the sitting asses in Washington a break. But it was so weird, the protocol there, because it was so many videos, Tony, of people seeing this punk kid with a gun in his hand for 30 minutes before they took him out.
Yep. Yeah, here's what I have heard, the protocol, listening to different people who were in that business on TV shows and news shows. The protocol is, if you see somebody with a gun not in uniform and it doesn't look right, you can shoot him. I know it. This is coming from. So now I've offered my services to Donald Trump to be the cartoon czar.
Have you now? I'll vote. Can I vote? Can I vote for that?
So other than pontificating about anything else, I'm not really qualified. Other than what I've heard, supposed qualified people say. Number one, there's supposed to be a parameter that nobody gets through. And first of all, then when you see somebody, and then all angles of fire are supposed to be covered. And that was a big one right there. He's right in the line of fire to Trump. Wide open, 143 yards away from Trump. Anybody that can shoot decently had an opportunity right there, and that should have been covered by a lot of people. And I don't know what was in the heads of the Secret Service when they did see him and let him just sit there with a gun. I have no idea whether they were told to stand down.
Well, that's what the rumors are, that they actually, there's another, and I sent it to Brad Johnson, our CIA buddy, and he's shocked tonight. I mean, we're going to get Brad on Thursday night. He was with us Saturday night in a special, but he's looking into this for me. But there is a rumor out there that somebody in the Secret Service saw him too, and told they told their boss, "We got him," And they said, no, don't shoot. And then before they knew it, he shot. The kid started slinging those bullets into the crowd. And on top of that, Tony, they found explosives in his car. This kid was wired. He wasn't just there to shoot Trump, brother. He was about to do some major stuff and kill a lot of people Saturday afternoon in Butler, Pennsylvania. And
absolutely,
it's a dangerous time we're in, buddy. Hey, man, listen, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I believe it was divine providence.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm also nervous because if the security's that lax, what else is somebody going to try? If somebody saw this and decided, hey, look, they don't have very good security, maybe I'll give it a shot. And maybe even somebody inside the deep state said, well, if the security's that light, we can work something out. I don't know. It's a lot of speculation, but I'm pretty nervous about it. I'm glad that there was divine intervention there, because it was just a matter of half an inch, and it would have been a different story to talk about.
Tony, if it would have been a half an inch, I think three things would have been going on tonight. Martial law probably would be declared tonight. Number two, probably wouldn't be an RNC convention going on. Of course, President Trump would be dead, and that thought just, look, I'm with you. God, he even said it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening, and the unthinkable was averted. But I think that, Reagan was the last time we saw something like this. And I just think the dynamic of the election did change Saturday, but the question is his base. There's still people on the fence, and I'm a faith guy, and I'm more frustrated right now with faith people than I am the people out here that don't know any better. But there's a lot of people spiritually that know better, and they're just trying to make Trump into this, he's got to be a perfect candidate. We're never going to have a perfect candidate, Tony. And Vance is not perfect, but they're the best of the choice we've got. I could tell my freaking 5-year-old I could tell my 3-year-old grandson that's just talking, and they would understand that Donald Trump is the one you better get out and vote for in November. If you don't want this country to go away in a puff of smoke, a communist socialist smoke. My 3-year-old could understand that. Oh,
absolutely. And David, the Bible wasn't a perfect person either.
Absolutely, buddy.
I mean, you look at people throughout the Bible, God used imperfect men to accomplish certain things, and Trump is no different than Trump is no different than anybody in the United States. We all have our problems, our faults, our sins, and these self-righteous liberals, especially,
yes.
And Christians who claim, oh, he can't do it because he said something on a bus. It's just ridiculous that they've gone that way. But I think it's more of they're just looking for an excuse to hate him anyway. So
I'm with you, buddy. Tony, listen, I want you to enjoy your time off, man. When you get back, we'll get you back on. I want you to tell you, I'm being very serious. You hang loose with me the next few weeks into the months, because it's good with this election coming up. I'll probably be calling on you quite a bit. And I want to thank you for taking your time with us, because we're very honored to have you always, buddy. We become good friends through all this. And I'm deeply appreciative of it.
Really appreciate it.
I'll send you this hard copy of our interview the other day. And I encourage folks, comicallyincorrect.com. Please go to his website. One of the best political cartoonists in the world, not just America, but in the world, award-winning. And I don't just say that. Enjoy some time with your family this summer, my friend. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon, Tony.
Thank you for having me on.
God bless, Tony. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him tonight. And we got James R. coming up right now. And it looks like Trump is probably on. I can't see whether he's still on right now. I'm assuming that he is. And so forth. While he's on, and I've got 219 people in YouTube, before I bring James Akers on, I'm going to take your comments now for a little bit. And we got James R. still to come tonight, Lord willing. And let me just tell James here that we'll have him on in about 15 minutes, and I'll call him. And let me see if James R. is available here. We are bear with me here a little bit tonight. Let's see here. James R. All right. If you've got a comment about the Vice President Vance, let's talk about Vance first of all tonight. Thumbs up, or how many out there are happy with the Vance pick like I am tonight? If you are, chime in. And what I've read so far, most people have been favorable about J.D. Vance. Mark Kaysen, good to see you, buddy. Carol Smith, he says he's not on, just appearing. If you've got a comment, anything, we'll take them on topic tonight. And Dennis Floyd, I really like Tony as well, buddy. I do, man. He's a good guy. He's a good man, good friend. Emelina says, yes, Vance. I got one yes in the house. Amy Miller's got a thumbs up. Best of the finalists. Cedric, I'm with you on that. I don't think that Tim Scott would have brought the energy to the ticket that Vance will. I don't think that Ben Carson would have brought the energy to the ticket that Vance will. I just don't. And I wasn't really a big fan of Marco Rubio. I think Rubio was probably, of all the candidates, that was like the longest shot of the long shots. A certain Twitter handle today that sometimes traffics in theory, he was out there convincing people that Trump was going to pick somebody off of that list, and people were going ape crap crazy. I was getting the tweet from everybody, oh, Trump's not going to pick any of Vance or Scott or anybody else. They're not going to pick any. He's going to go to somebody else. And folks, I've just learned over 7 years that, I figured Trump would make the decision. It didn't matter to me who he picked. I was going to vote for him. But people were all freaking out, and I had a gut feeling. I called this one right. Chris, don't get too many things right when it comes to this stuff. I'm actually proud of myself that I got this one right, because I felt like a week ago Vance was his man. I did. I just had a gut call, and I think it was the last time we had Magdalene on. I had a feeling, and I know she was saying she was hoping Tim Scott, but I got it right. I got it right, and I'm proud that he's the man. I think he's going to bring a lot to the ticket. He seems very humble tonight. Janet, I'm glad you picked that up, because I saw that as well. He is actually very humble, and what they're trying to do is paint him as this evil monster about women. And he's 37. He's got a wife, and as Magdalene pointed out, beautiful family, just absolutely beautiful family. Not a lot of fluff, but he reminds me of my son. I guess some of this is the dad in me, because I got two boys that's in their 30s. My oldest son, Josh, is just a couple of years younger than him. Brandon is not too far behind him. And I looked at him tonight, and my heart went out to him as my own son. Really. And I mean that. I'm not trying to just be melodramatic about it. And I said to myself, kid, I prayed for him. I started weeping in my living room. I did. And I said, Lord, help this kid. Help this kid what he's about to encounter. And put your angels around him. Put a ring of fire around him. Because what he's about to encounter is probably something he's never had in his entire life. And I can only imagine if my son was facing this tonight. Whew, good Lord. I would have to call Jason Miller up in Nashville. And Mark Kaysen, too, wherever Mark's at in the country. Call them both to Tennessee and say, I need some spiritual intervention, what I'm about to do to some folks talking about my kid. Like, they're probably going to be talking about J.D. Vance. That's all I got to say. That's why the McDonald family don't get into politics, because we probably hurt some folks. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say we'd hurt anybody. But it would be tough, because I would not be one to hold my peace. And I know J.D.'s going to have to walk a fine line with that. But we need to pray for him, folks. We just do. We just do. Anyway. Carol, you're right. Vance is somebody that Americans can relate to. Becca says, I've been following this, but I don't know anything about him. Becca, you can do all the research you want to. He's the vice president. So, I mean, I don't know what your research is going to find. I mean, you know, I'm sure Trump's already done his research. And I'm not telling you not to do your research, but, I mean, the research has already been done. I think when it came down to it, Trump saw something in him, and I did too, that he can withstand this fire. Don't think that Trump's not been watching these interviews that he's been given on CNN and the Lion's Den, and he has held his own. He's not betrayed Trump. He's not, and when they tried to do a gotcha question about Trump, JD has given it right back to this liberal puke machine. It's not a news machine, it's a puke machine. So, he's a good man. He's and Rebecca, I would encourage you to go to President Trump's either Truth Social account or his Twitter account. He issued a statement tonight, and I should have brought it with me. I thought I downloaded it, but I didn't. He's got a summary, actually, of J.D. Vance's accomplishments, and I wished I would have. We're going to probably do that tomorrow night. We've got Lori Mills coming tomorrow night, and we've got Eric Carrot, double feature again tomorrow night. We're doing one long show tonight. Tomorrow night we're going to break it up into two. But I'm sort of interacting with you right now before we bring in thing. Thank you, Cleo. Hillbilly Elegy is a brilliant movie about his life, and I encourage you to watch that. And he is an excellent young man, and I appreciate it. Cleo says I like his wife, tells me everything about him. Usually does. And Janet, your point about him being humble, that is what's impressed me the most. I watched his interview with Hannity, and honestly, the kid had me in tears. Honestly, he had me in tears, and I don't mean this. I'm not worshiping J.D. Vance, but I saw something in him that you saw. And I said, this is the kind of kid, he's 37, folks. We could have J.D. Vance in our politics for the next 12 years if the Lord plays this right. I mean, and I say if. The Lord will play everything right if we'll get in line with him. But this kid will be in our politics if the Republicans play it right. I should have said that, not the Lord. The Lord's always right. And I just see a Sanders-Vance ticket coming next election cycle. Wouldn't that be something? And, but I'm with you, Janet, on that. I saw the same thing. I did. Elaine says, I'm going to keep my opinion about Vance until I know enough about him. I will be watching closely. Well, and Elaine, that's fine. But he's the man. I mean, he's number two. And, you know, we'll just have to, I think that he's, and I might as well go ahead and say this, because we cannot expect J.D. Vance, folks, not to make mistakes. This is his first ever call like this. He's a 37-year-old man. 37. He's in his 30s. He is going to make mistakes. He is going to say things probably on the fly that some of us hardcore folks just ain't going to like, and he's going to ruffle some feathers. So get used to that. Get your asbestos suit on. There's going to be some oops and daisies, and I think Trump has figured this all in before he chose him. He's not going to appeal to everybody. I guarantee you there are going to be Twitter handles out there tomorrow on our side, not the left. The left's already tearing him up tonight. But he's going to take fire from the right, because there's going to be people that just don't like J.D. Vance's personality. There's going to be people that don't like J.D. Vance's tie. There's going to be people that don't like J.D. Vance's beard. I can hear that already. There's going to be people that, well, his wife wore a light blue dress to a Republican convention, and how dare she wear blue to a MAGA convention that's red? I can hear it. That's just the insane stupidity of people. Not caring that the alternative is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So he's going to make mistakes. So please be patient with him, all of us. I'm not just, this is directed at nobody. This is all of us. I'm saying it to me. He's going to make his bumps. And we have got to understand we're dealing with a 37-year-old. One thing I love about him, he ain't been around Washington, D.C. for 37 years. Mike Pence had been. Mike Pence has been an insider and a senator. And we saw what that got us. I'm willing to take a chance on a 37-year-old kid that wet under the ears politically. But he's held his own so far. I'll give him a 9.5 right now. Nobody's perfect. So I'll give him a 9.5, what I've seen out there. But we need to be patient. We need to be patient. And anyway. And Liz, thank you. It's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it too. I think it's worth watching. But I don't think that he is Pence. Elaine, I see your comment about Pence. He's not Pence. He's not Pence. I will tell you this. He's had plenty of opportunity since he's become a senator to say things and not support President Trump. And he has helped President Trump behind the scenes, from what I understand, legislatively, with some things that Trump really wanted to see the senators and the U.S. Senate at least get on the floor. It was never going to pass with this jackanapes in the White House. But I understand your frustration. I saw Roger Hooker make the same sort of question about him, that Pence started out this way too. The excitement over Pence was not like this. I didn't have any excitement about Pence. I was like, well, who is Mike Pence? I'd heard his name as a senator, and I knew he was governor of Indiana. That's all I knew. J.D. Vance has been a little different to me. I've watched him for the last couple of years, especially this last 12 months. So your concerns are noted. I don't think he's Pence. Who put that just now about Israel? Cedric, thank you. The other thing that is very important is Israel. He is a staunch supporter of Israel. And Cedric, thank you for bringing that up, because I almost forgot about that. He is going to support Israel. And that is very, very important to me. And so forth. A lot of good comments. Anything on topic, please put them in there. Yes, Pence was a disappointment. Rebecca, I'm behind President Trump no matter what. I think that's all of us tonight, folks. And we can disagree. We can disagree on this. Look, we can disagree on a lot of things. And it's fine. You don't have to love J.D. Vance. I'm just saying, we got a 37-year-old kid. And again, I guess it's because Chris has just gotten old. I've got a 35-year-old son. And a 31-year-old son. And a 22-year-old son, and 3 grandchildren with 1 on the way. And I guess the daddy part of Chris is pulling for this kid. And anyway, just give him a shot. That's all I got to say tonight. All righty, let me get another good old guy on the phone with us here. And it would not be a discussion to this guy. I'm going to give him a hard time. This guy's been in Hawaii, of all places. But let me see if we can get just Mr. James Akers on the line with us tonight. Let's see if he's going to answer the phone here. I think he will. And we thank you all for being with us tonight. James Akers, how are you, brother?
I am fine. How are you doing, Chris?
I have got to give you a little jazz before I get into the discussion with you. I am absolutely disappointed beyond words that I did not get an invitation to go with you to the Hawaiian Islands and do a McFile live. I could have stayed with James R. of all people. I could have went over there. But you have been, while the world is burning and Armageddon's happening over here, you've been in Hawaii, man. I'm joking with you. It's good to have you back in the States. I know you're tired, and I thank you for coming on tonight on this Monday night. How are you, my friend?
I am doing fine. And Hawaii is absolutely beautiful, just beautiful. I've been there several times, and every time I add 1 or 2 new experiences to it. And And this time was no exception. We went with some friends, and it was so nice.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's one of my bucket list places to go to one day, and I'm glad you got a chance to go, buddy. Look, the world's been out of spiral for a long time, and anytime we get a chance to relax and just enjoy God's creation, we need to take it. There's no doubt about it. Hey, I want to deal first of all with I think the more important, President Trump made an appearance tonight. He really didn't give his full speech. He will later this week. But James, we like to have a massive, absolute catastrophe Saturday afternoon in Butler, Pennsylvania. An assassin's bullet came within millimeters of killing the president by his head. And God intervened. I mean, God alone and nobody else intervened in making sure that bullet, I know it grazed his ear, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have killed him.
Well, if he turned his head to make a point, we would be talking about tragedy beyond measure right now, and a country divided. It's hard telling how that catastrophe would have accelerated in terms of, we live in such a divided country.
You're a former. Go ahead.
Looking at him right now with a bandage on his ear at the convention, and that fist pump after the Secret Service were escorting him out as one of those iconic things that I'm not sure a lot of people will forget.
Let me ask you this. You're in the intelligence field, and you know a little bit. Brad, we had Brad on Saturday night. We had a special Saturday night. Well-attended special at that. Record crowd Saturday night here. But what was your take on the Secret Service's handling of this? I've not heard any good things about the Secret Service's handling of this, man.
Oh, no, and these reports keep getting worse.
Yes, they do.
That people spotted the guy crawling on the roof. They pointed it out to law enforcement. Evidently, there was law enforcement that ran into the guy. They're asking questions. How could he carry a ladder and a gun and nobody be watching him? How could there not have been a drone up in the air? I mean, there are some serious questions, and there are a lot of people that are saying, wait a minute, we don't need the FBI or the Secret Service to handle this investigation. It needs to be an outside investigation so that there's nobody covering their own tails in this thing. This was a major security lapse, and I've dealt with Secret Service that have protected other presidents, and man, I have respect for those guys. I know how thorough they are. But this was an oversight of major proportions. And the whole idea that somehow, the person that heads the Secret Service is going to survive all of this, that doesn't look good on the Biden presidency. A head or two needs to roll on this thing. It was a major blunder.
And we're in agreement with that, but I guess the $1 million question is, will heads roll? Will the Biden administration, and Brad's take Saturday night was that they're gonna bury this. They're gonna get this done. And Brad was very critical of the Las Vegas shooting investigation, and that happened during Trump's time. I think, did it not happen? When was that? 2015? Maybe it was Obama.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a lot of questions, James, that was still open about what happened in Vegas, and I think that the fingerprints of this are going to go some high, just another gut. I think this stuff stinks to high heaven, and I think it goes right back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't have a problem saying it. I think there are some things that it would probably shock us if we knew some of the conversations that were had prior to this, what happened Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not sure, the full story will ever be told. Brad is absolutely on point. Bureaucracies tend to bury things that'll embarrass them. And this was an embarrassing failure. And there have been others. You pointed out Las Vegas. I'll tell you one that personally I think was buried deep was a Supreme Court justice, Scalia. When what happened in Texas, I don't think we ever found out the truth about what happened there, and at those higher levels when these decisions get made, they always cover their skirts in the process, and I'm telling you, I'm like you. This one smells bad. How a person could get within easy rifle range on a roof with a clear view of the speaker's podium, is beyond me, and I think probably historians in 10 or 15 years will open a whole lot of light on this thing that we're not going to see, given the politics of today and given the media propensity, to cover up for all of these missteps.
I couldn't agree more. I think that as we progress into these next few weeks, I think some more stuff's going to come out. I do, and who knows? I mean, we don't traffic in conspiracy stuff here, and I think that Tony Branco, our guest before you tonight, he made a great point. What happens with these investigations, James, is if they're not handled properly, it gives birth to the conspiracy crap out there, and there's already a ton of it circulating tonight, and there is so much misinformation that it ain't funny. There is so much just absolute puking crap that's not true, and people are believing it, but the government has a lot to be blamed for that, because if they would do their jobs and we could trust the government and trust the FBI and trust the Secret Service to do what's right, we probably wouldn't have to turn to X and social media to get our news from. And if we could trust the media to report it fairly, we could not have to turn to these conspiracy nuts. So I'm not blaming the conspiracy nuts. I'm not even upset about the conspiracy stuff. I'm just saying it gives birth to it. Tony Branco was square on, and it's just the world we live in. That's just the world and the country we live in right now.
It's the world we live in, and in my lifetime, and especially in the last 10 to 15 years, there's just a total mistrust of the information government releases through its controlled media for popular consumption. Let's take this one. Who is going to believe any internal investigation or report that comes out of this where they're more interested in CYA than they are at getting at the truth? And that's the age we live in. If you can't trust the government, if you can't trust official organs to give you the truth, then, people turn to all of these conspiracy nut jobs that are floating out there with theories about absolutely everything.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Listen, a couple of other things I want to run by you. Big news today. Couple of big stories that happened. One of them happened within the last few hours. Elon Musk has vowed to give Trump $45 million a month, man, till the election, right on through the election, for mail-in balloting programs, and huge earthquake. I mean, the Democrats, if they wasn't having a bad day beforehand, this made it even worse. And then the document case, which me and you've talked about several times, got thrown out today by the judge. It's completely dismissed. Jack Smith's case and the document case, at least, is gone. Does this domino keep falling with these lawfare cases, and then we turn to the threat of the danger of the violence that we saw Saturday?
Well, I mean, it's a good news day for Republicans all across the waterfront, and I personally think that Trump's pick of J.D. Vance, who was brought up, by the way, about 15 minutes from where I live here in Ohio.
Awesome.
One of the amazing success stories in modern politics. Mom was a dope addict. His dad deserted him. He was raised by a cussing, armed to the teeth grandmother who was who showed him the straight and narrow and tough love. And that story should resonate with a lot of people. He went to the Marines, built his own business, became a successful political figure, wrote an enormously popular book in this part of the country because almost everybody has Kentucky roots or mountain roots, Hillbilly Effigy.
Yeah.
And I watched him with Sean Kennedy tonight.
He's awesome.
And he was he handled every question with knowledgeable, articulate, well-informed, and directly answered all the questions. He's going to be a nightmare for the Democrats and for the media that try to constantly, trap him. And, even he was anything but a Trump supporter several years ago. So
it's interesting.
All these quotes that he made many years ago, but he said, "Listen, I made a mistake," and he said the guy, I didn't think he would, but when the guy became president, he said, I agreed with all his policies. They were good policies, and so I think that's a good addition to the ticket. He brings a bit of tact and grace in terms of handling the press and all of those that'll be nipping at his heels that, Trump just handles in a different way. So I think it's really a good addition. But I think the iconic thing that's going to be remembered by most people is Trump raising his fist with blood all over his face after that assassination attempt. I think that's going to live forever.
I do too, buddy. I've got you about another 5 minutes, and we're going to have you on longer. I've got a sort of an all-star lineup behind us tonight, and I want to get your take on it, and we're going to have you on for a longer interview here in the next week. But I do want to ask you a question going forward into November. Tony Branco made some great points, and one of the things he said we cannot get complacent right now in thinking that all this is settled, because it's not. It's just the beginning. Do you think this is the last attempt on President Trump's life before we get to November? I don't, and I'm just curious what James Akers thinks.
I would not. I hope not. I hope there are no other attempts. But he is such a polarizing figure, and in our culture, Chris, it's just breeding wackos. People that want 3 minutes in the sun, for doing just weird things like shooting a president. So, what I'm saying? I've never seen a time like this. And there is so much hatred for Trump. There's just... I've never seen a candidate so hatred, and it's personal vindictiveness. It's not against his policies or his ideas or his family. It's all directed against him as a person. And I don't think we've ever seen this I'm a historian, and I'm thinking back through a lot of elections, but I've never seen a person so hated. For the very reason he won in 2016. Sort of turned on him, because the only one I've seen that sort of had this sort of emotive response from the people on the other side was probably Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton. That's a great point. That's a great point.
And it was those negatives that got her beat, and the media was able to turn Trump's negatives against him, and probably cost him the election the next time around. That's just my opinion.
And that's a fair opinion, James. It really is. Well, buddy, listen, I know that it's been a long trip back, and I'm not going to keep you long tonight because it's late, but I do want to thank you for your insight, and we're going to follow this Secret Service thing, and if you get any news that we can share, let me know, and we'll get you back on and have you share it, because I think that we're just getting to the surface of this stuff, and well spoken tonight, and our prayers for you and your family. Great that you're back safe. And look, we're people of faith. I do want to ask you this right before you leave. President Trump's come out and said it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. I think me and you are both in agreement tonight. That's one of the most truthful things President Trump, and I'm not saying he's never said things truthful, but if there's ever been a more truthful statement, and so I think somebody who's grateful for his life tonight, President Trump gets it. That it wasn't luck or anything else. It was God that saved his life Saturday.
Yes,
without a doubt.
It was the grace of God. And I think when he went to his knees, there's a really interesting, Chris, prophecy going around. A person 3 or 4 months ago said that Trump was going to be shot at, that it was going to hit his ear, it was going to force him to his knees. And that's sort of making its way around. It's an interesting prophecy, and so he has God to thank. When he went to his knees, I bet he was doing some heavy duty bargaining with his God.
Well, it wasn't just the nation at that moment, James. This would have been the end of his life, man. His soul. I mean,
he was just 2 centimeters away from
eternity.
From being dead.
Exactly, brother.
And every time I talk to you, Chris, there's one thing that's really starting to concern me is in the Middle East, and it's this growing tension between Hezbollah and the Israelis, and that thing could break open at any time. And I would love to talk over that with you. I know we've got a lot on here with J.D. Vance and the president nearly shot, and Biden's attempts to sort of wiggle out of what seems to be a deteriorating situation here.
The next time we're on, we're going to deal with Biden's response. I don't have time to get into it with you tonight, but I want to do that, and I do want to turn to Israel, because without me stating the obvious, the Middle East is still a powder keg tonight, despite everything going on here. The world is a dangerous place as much as America is too, buddy, without a doubt.
And they did, and the sharks are certainly in the water because they see somebody that's incredibly weak in the White House. That's sort of my view. So, buddy, listen, thank you so much for the opportunity. Always good talking to you. I hope at one point you come by here and see the new house, and I can treat you to a steak, or we can go down to the ballpark and watch us Reds.
I'm going to let you treat me to both. Brad Johnson he's promised to treat me to a McDonald's hamburger. See, I'm getting a promise of a steak from James Akers, so the choice is easy. That's an easy choice. Even with Elvis, him dangling Elvis for me to meet Elvis, that's nothing compared to what I just got offered from James Akers. So that's the deal. Bless you, friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Bless you, Chris.
You too, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Good night. James Akers, everybody. And what a good guy right there. He is definitely one of the good guys on this fight. And praise God for him. And we appreciate him taking the time. He just basically got back from a long trip, and so forth. And I think that we're going to go ahead. What I'm going to do, if you don't mind, we've been going almost 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and bring James R. on. I'm going to give you about 10, 15 minutes to chime in, let you say what you want to say. So don't chill out too bad. We're about to bring James R. on. We're going to have a show tomorrow night. Eric here will be with me. We'll take some questions from you. And I wanted to say this, folks. When we have guests on, we try to let the guests speak. We do our best. We're doing a lot better job of letting you interact with us. So please understand, we're not being a killjoy. We just want our guests to be able to be heard, okay? So, anyway, here is James R. Let me get him on the phone. I'm not going to keep him long either. But I wanted definitely to get his take on some things tonight at 11:13 in the East. And let's see here.
Hey, Chris.
James R. is on the line. Good to see you, buddy. How are you, man?
Good to see you, brother. What's going on?
Well, I hear you have a face for radio. That's all I heard, so I don't know. I think you used that line one night.
Yeah, my wife tells me that every day.
I figure she did. Hey, buddy, it's good to see you back. Thank you for coming on Saturday night in the pinch. I'm not going to keep you on tonight. It's late. But I do want to get you, keep you on for about 6 hours. No, about 15, 25 minutes. The events of today have changed a lot of things, James, even tonight. J.D. Vance is the man. I want to get your take on that first. What's your thoughts on J.D. Vance? I think it's a win for Trump. I don't think it's a bad choice, and I think that it's going to... I like the energy. I'm already feeling the energy. What's James R.'s take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I said it on your show the last time we talked about the vice presidential fantasy politician sport that everybody wanted to play, that, I wasn't playing it. I was saying, look, the team is going to do what the team thinks is best for the team to win. And that's ultimately all that matters. We've talked realistically about, look, the vice president is a nobody. Like, you want to know how bad the vice president's position is worthless? Kamala Harris is your current VP. That should say it all right there. If that dumb hyena can do the job, my 2-year-old can do the job. So, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is, does J.D. Vance help Trump win? Yes, I think he does. I think he really is going to help us where we need the help. Pennsylvania. And people are going to maybe not understand that, but
bingo.
This is the Midwest-rooted guy.
Absolutely.
Grew up, people are going to connect with this dude, and it's going to be good.
I'm glad you mentioned Pennsylvania because it's right next door to Ohio. And Ron DeSantis would have never brought that element to the ticket, James. I think Ron would have turned a lot of people off in the Midwest. I think anybody else, and look, nothing against Tim Scott. I think Tim Scott's a good man, but I don't think he brings the energy, and he would not have related to the Midwest. I don't think anybody else other than J.D. Vance would have done exactly what you just described. And I think that was what was figuring into Trump. But I also want to ask you a question. One of my Pat McDonald questions. Did loyalty play into this as well? Because, see, I think after the Pence debacle, the loyalty factor entered into it, and I think Trump saw something in J.D. Vance. And J.D.'s not been all Trump, he's not. There's been some things he said in the past about Trump that ain't been the best. But, Trump looked beyond that, and I think he sees a loyal vice president to him, and he's already held his own with these liberal pukes on CNN and MSNBC and all of this crap, and he's not ever betrayed Trump at any time in these interviews. He has stood up for the president. He stood up for America. I like the man, and I think that's what Trump saw in him. That's why he made him pick him ultimately.
When you started that question, I think I was going to answer it a different way. But I don't mean that to be like in an opposite way. I just mean in a different way.
Right.
Because I think you really hit the nail on the head. This is something new. And it's been going on for a long time, but most of our base has failed to recognize the unity message Trump has been sending to the Republican Party is the main thing that's been happening. And the reason I bring it from your point, is I want everybody to look at our base and see who are the most loyal, effective active soldiers on our team, and they are the walkaway people. They are the people that used to be Democrats that are now on our team telling us, hey, this is what these guys are doing, and fighting back against it. You got Brandon Strzok out there with the actual walkaway movement. You've got Scotty Pressler out there with voter registration drives. I mean, who are the effective people on our team? They're people that used to be Democrats. So if we can accept people into our fold that used to be Democrats, that used to work against us onto our team, you can definitely go with someone like J.D. Vance who said, hey, look, I was wrong. I made mistakes. I've corrected them. Once I saw Trump actually in the job, I completely understood that he was not bullshitting us, that he was doing the job. And that is the key of importance, and it goes right in line with what you were saying, Chris.
I think it's absolutely wonderful analysis, James. And we had Magdalene Rose on earlier, and, Magdalene has been screaming at me for months that her biggest concern was that Trump had to regain the woman's vote, the white woman's vote. And she agreed with me tonight that J.D. Vance is going to help him do that too. Because his wife, there's not, I think Magdalene made a great point. She came out on the stage tonight with him. She's not Melania Trump. She's very Midwesterner, very down to earth, very normal person. And I think most housewives identify with her, and they don't look at some Washington elite when they see her. And I think that it's going to be another dynamic that's going to bring some people back in the fold that left us in 2020, and that's the American white woman.
Yeah, you're spot on with that analysis. Let's look at the unification of fight. I mean, let's look at right after Trump announces he's going to have J.D. Vance. Vivek Ramaswamy, who has every reason to snipe from the sidelines, completely, full-throatedly, and in a personal way, endorsed J.D. Vance as the pick. That's big. It's a good freaking move. Look at what Nikki Haley did. We all hate Nikki Haley. Everybody in your office despises the woman. But she did the right thing.
She did.
And it's called for unity. Okay, this is what Trump is on. Stop your shit. You lost. Get on board, and let's drive this train together. And it's working. And look at his poll numbers. I mean, obviously, at this point, after they tried to assassinate him, his poll numbers are going to be through the roof. But it's true.
That's sort of true. I mean, I would hope that if me and you were running for president, that it wouldn't take an assassination attempt for our poll numbers to go up, James. I'm just saying, Anyway, what's your thoughts? And this is another bombshell today. A couple of bombshells I got to run by you. Elon Musk, man, if you don't think that the Democrats are on suicide watch tonight, Elon Musk has now come out and said, I'm going to give Trump $45 million a month for the next 6 months. Brother, let me tell you something. That's an earthquake. That's a financial earthquake. I wish somebody would do that just once. For me.
Yeah, they could give us 1% and we'd be happy, Chris.
I'd be happy with that, exactly.
No, that's $180 million to fight the left. And here's the good news. They're directly going against the Zuckerbucks machine that Trump warned Zucker not to do this time. Because it's been, by the way, found illegal for private enterprise to support and pay for electoral structure. He's been put on notice. And what you have Elon investing his money in is a super PAC that's going to be dedicated to voter integrity. So that's a huge number, $180 million going nationwide for voter integrity. That's big.
That's huge, and it's so needed with what's coming in November. Buddy, do you think these people, look, me and you are totally in agreement, these people are blank and insane, and these violent attempts at his life, and some of the rhetoric today, you would have thought that people would have learned their lesson, but it's been ugly today out there in some Twitter handles. But do you see this they try this crap again? They played the lawfare card, and I want to ask you about the law case because that got thrown out. The document case got thrown out today. And I got to just preface this by saying that I heard, and look, I'm not a Bill O'Reilly fan, but I remember I was up late one night Bill's he's hit the bottom. They've got a show airing at midnight on some weird network that you don't know about. But I heard him, and he made a statement that it was his opinion that the document case was the most strongest criminally against Trump. And I'm not saying I agree with that, but he gave the reasons why. Well, that's the case today, James, that got tossed to the curb. That case is no longer even against Trump. And I think it's a domino effect that the lawfare, and you said it Saturday night, that these other cases are toast since that immunity case 2 weeks ago from the Supreme Court. But do you think that this leads to the second phase of their attempt? Does this increase the risk of violence now this summer as we go forward into November?
That's a great question. I think based on the rhetoric that we see, and let's not just ascribe this to Twitter. The numbnuts in chief went on Leftist and basically just like denied reality, right? Like, and Karine Jean-Pierre from the podium, he said, we're still going to call him a threat to democracy.
Exactly.
And we don't care that our rhetoric is what led to this, because we don't believe our rhetoric led to this. I mean, they're so fucking stupid that they can't realize that the causation, no matter, I don't care about any of the other theories about what happened, why it happened, who's responsible, whose fault it was. I don't care. The fact is that the causation of that falls directly at the feet of the Democrat Party, every politician in the Democrat Party, for all the Russia hoax bullshit, everything else that led on after that, the Mueller investigation, the nonstop Donald Trump's a criminal, threat to democracy, Hitler-esque, all of that rhetoric at the Democrats and the politicians and the media. That's who's responsible for what happened on Saturday. And they don't care. That's the problem. And so your question about does this ramp up some violence? I think it does. But I think it's going to be against us. I said this on your program on Saturday.
Yes.
That everybody in our audience better be prepared and pay attention to their surroundings.
Thank you, James.
I'm not saying stop. I'm not saying don't go. I'm saying go with your eyes open. And you make sure that you do everything you can to protect yourself, because they're going to come for us. I don't have a question. They burned the whole country down when Donald Trump won the first time. What makes you think now that they realize Trump is going to win, that they're not going to start up again? They're going to try it. There's a problem for them. They've only got 30% of the country left.
That's it.
They don't.
That's it.
That's it.
Brother, I could give you a high five all the way over in Hawaii. But I do believe, and I can't, in 2 weeks, when I get you back on first week of August, I'll have you on sooner, but when you do our interview and we're talking in August when my strike is going off my channel, I'm going to give you my theory of what I think's ahead. If it's not already happened yet, I'll tell you what, I'll text it to you. I was supposed to do it last week and I forgot to Saturday. But I got an interesting, somebody sent me an interesting theory, and I had thought about it, that the whole thing Saturday was phase one of something I think's coming. I do want to ask you a couple quick questions, what we now know about this 20-year-old punk kid. Do you believe, and the Secret Service was, you talking about a blank show. I'm not talking about the rank and file. They're only doing what they're told to do. But do you think this investigation is shoved under the rug? We talked about this Saturday night. We even said Saturday night we'd know more Monday, and we've got videos out now. This kid was on the freaking roof for 30 minutes, James. And I love what Jesse Waters said tonight. How the hell did he get up there? Was he Spider-Man? I mean, what in the hell was the Secret Service doing Saturday other than watching Jill Biden shop at Fifth Avenue?
Yeah, let me say this, because this is a complex thing, and I tried to allude to it, and I've talked about it directly in many different places, but I don't recall if I said it directly this way on your program, so I'm going to say it. It's very complex here. Okay, the Secret Service itself isn't necessarily responsible, but the head of Donald Trump's detail is 100% responsible for what happened, because look, if they don't, there's complexity here, right? You've got at least 3 layers. You've got the Secret Service, you've got the private contractors, and you've got the police force. And they don't necessarily all have the same radio comms frequencies. It's kind of messed up the way that part is happening. But, and everybody has assigned jobs and assigned roles. But when they knew there was a threat, and they should have known, 30 minutes, no way they should not have known. Trump should have been either never let on that stage or whisked off that stage. Or at the very minimum, if Trump refused to go off that stage, Secret Service should have been standing next to him, skin to skin, on every side possible. That should have happened, and it didn't.
Fair enough.
But the bottom line is the responsibility lies on the head of his team. The people that are running that program on the site, on the ground, that there is no way that a shooter should have got off at 3 shots minimum, while Trump was still standing. I made that point earlier. I mean, it's insane that this happened. Now, that again, I'm not saying counter snipers necessarily should have shot him in the time that they had allocated him or whatever. If there was eyes on, there's a lot of misinformation. The one video that some people think shows the sniper is on target. He's not on target. You got to do some real critical analyzation of that video. You can watch that sniper that's behind Donald Trump move his weapon a minimum of 15 degrees to allocate the target. Okay? Like, I know this. You can watch the tip of the barrel, and you can see the tip of the barrel is hidden, and then it's not hidden. So that's telling you the amount of sweep that moved. So he was looking at something else. He was not on target at that time. Now, that doesn't mean somebody else wasn't on target. It just means in that video, that sniper was not on target. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of armchair quarterbacking over this situation, and nobody's going to trust the FBI. Not a single person in your audience is going to trust the FBI and what they say, right? For all we know, this guy's name was Norm Macdonald. Okay,
that's right. No, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely correct. And I want to just say this, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I've tried to not be a Monday morning quarterback myself, because I appreciate the rank and file, and I do agree that Donald Trump's security team needed to have they've got to take ownership of this too. But my bigger question to you is that if it's discovered that let me save that question for later. Let me ask you this: if President Trump would have got killed Saturday, okay, would we be in martial law tonight?
No. These people, look at the news. Look at the way the news was covering it from instantaneous, right? Is that Trump fell. Secret Service whisks Trump off stage. None of the coverage for hours, probably about 4 hours, was even in the realm of assassination attempt, let alone that it was a big deal. And then you had massive amounts of Democrat politicians all over the country that are coming out and literally saying things like, damn, can't believe they missed. I mean, that's the boil down. And then you have a lot more of the Democrat politicians that are out there essentially trying to play verbal jujitsu and blame us, blame the Trump supporters and Trump himself for the rhetoric that led to this. Like, you got to see what the country would have done. Like, they would have spun this like it was no big deal. So if they're going to spin it like it's no big deal, you can't go to martial law. That makes it a big deal.
That's a great point.
So, yeah, we wouldn't have had martial law, but you know, we would have had a hell of a mess on our hands. And I got to say, especially because I know your audience tends to be faith-based, God's hand was upon Donald Trump.
Absolutely, buddy.
Yet, that somebody else had to pay that price that was in the background.
The fireman.
One that took that bullet. So, you know, we gotta thank God that Donald Trump is not dead tonight. Because again, pointing out, 3 shots on target. Thank God the guy wasn't trained. If that was a trained guy, if that was even a trained hunter, Donald Trump would probably be dead tonight. Because First shot missed, second shot's going center mass. And Donald Trump was on his feet until after the third shot rang out. So everybody better be thanking their lucky stars that this guy wasn't a trained sniper, because he was just a whack job with a rifle. He got very close, though, to really putting this country in a world of hurt.
Yep. Where I know he appeared tonight at the convention. What's some of the things, as we close tonight with you, what's some of the things you want to hear from this convention this week? Is James R. the American, just personally, what do you really want the Republicans to hammer down this week?
Unity and no more of your never Trump bullshit to anyone who was still never Trump after they tried to kill him. I mean,
yeah, like, it's great.
You know, just unity. I mean, I think it's a very simple thing. I think as we started the show off with, Trump has done that. I think Trump has led the way and shown the path. You have to praise Nikki Haley for doing that. You have to praise Ron DeSantis for doing that. You have to praise Vivek Ramaswamy for doing that. You have to see that the rational people, even if they're doing it for personal gain, even if that's the case, they're saying and doing the right thing. And that's what we need more of. No more fucking Rick Wilsons. No more fucking Lincoln Project. No more of these assholes that are running around trying to stir up shit. And that goes back to another question you asked at the top of the show. Look, I get it that a lot of you are not going to like the J.D. Vance pick. For whatever reason, you have reasons. Get it out of your system today and go out tomorrow as a unified member of the Republican Party. Because we cannot help the left do their job. We cannot afford division over a past choice we had nothing to do with. We had no say in. Donald Trump and his team, as we correctly predicted, were going to do what they thought was best, and they did it. Now we go forward and we win this election and we take this country back. That's what we have to do. Now, the day after the election, fuck, guns a-blazing. Whatever you want. Because, yes, we have to hold each and every one of the people in Trump's orbit accountable for their actions and what they're doing from that point forward. But let's not lose sight of what we said already. The most effective members of our team are former Democrats. If we can accept them, we can accept J.D. Vance.
If I ever lose my mind and run for president, you are going to be either my vice president or my communications director. That's all I got to say. I hope you know that, okay? You're going to hold my first press conference, and I'm going to be standing right beside you, and I'm going to let you handle the press. You're going to have a dual role. You're going to be my number two and my press secretary. First time it's ever going to be done in political history. I think it's going to be the award-winning. It may not last, me and you may not last about a week, but it'll be the most interesting week America's ever seen, bro. That's all I got to say, man.
I agree with you, but I'll definitely go for press secretary because, as far as I'm aware, nobody's ever assassinated the press secretary.
That is true. Bless you, brother. Listen, I'm going to let you go. God bless, friend. We'll see you again soon. Hang loose because I'm going to need you for the next few weeks. All I got to say is keep loose on Monday nights because you're my guest pretty much till the election, man. God bless, buddy.
Got it, brother. Thank
Good night. Thank you, James R. James R., everybody. Put some fire in that house. There is nobody better. There is nobody better that can make you laugh and give you a little bit of release. He's just saying things we really are wanting to say, folks. I know some of you get little feathers wadded with his language, and it's okay. I don't care. It's never made my feathers get wadded. I think I want him to go for it. That's what I like about him. And it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. James R., Real Person Politics at X, and I encourage you to follow him. He does a scope every day, and I appreciate him being with us tonight. It's 11:36 in the East. We've been going right at 2 hours and just 18 minutes. So it's not like we've been going 3 hours. I could keep you to midnight, and we could have broke this up into 3 shows, and I said, I don't want to do that tonight. I wanted to get all of these guests in. We've had an all-star lineup. Man, what a night tonight. We had the Magdalene Rose. We've had Tony Branco. We've had James Akers. And now we had James R. And you can't get much better than that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to take about 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. And if you got a question or a statement about anything you've heard, James, you don't have to apologize for that language, brother. You're good, man. He's the Pirate Radio. Me and James, we go back. There's nobody else. I'll say this to him. I'm glad he's out there, and I don't mind him hearing me say this. There's nobody else in the universe. If I had a choice, and we were in trench warfare, and somebody said, who would you want in this warfare? James Darby, number one. I don't think there's anybody that I've ever seen with the political astute mind that he got. I've never seen anybody that can articulate what he's thinking as good as him. We've always been able to laugh with each other. We've been through some tough valleys together. We've been on some mountaintops together. And I've loved meeting his family back last fall. It was a blessing last year. One of the best moments of my life in 23 when I met him and Tina and that baby down in Florida. They were here in the States. I'm excited they're coming back here to the mainland soon. And he never has to apologize for his language on this network. I don't care. He's my buddy. And he's right about this tonight, folks. It was God alone that prevented the unthinkable from happening. It was God alone that prevented the unthinkable from happening. And that's Donald Trump's quote. I encourage you to listen to James. He's on his network, Pirate Radio. Pirate Radio is actually a brainchild of the McFiles, but the Lord took me in a different direction a few years ago, and my dad died, and just a lot of sickness, and I just haven't really been able to get back, but it's been in good hands, and I'm grateful to see what James is doing with it. He has had some outstanding guests on there, and I still take pride a little bit to know that me and him helped start that network, and we encourage you to support him. And he knows he's got a welcome format. He's going to be busy till the election. I'm going to have him on every Monday night if he can come on, if he can do it, because I need him. And I just think he brings a perspective that nobody else does, and I appreciate him. I do, and I hope he knows that tonight. And all. It's 11:39 in the East, and we were grateful that you've been with us tonight on a very special. We've had an all-star Monday. It's not over with this week. We have got the one and only Eric Karen tomorrow night. Eric's got some stuff about the DEI crap that the Secret Service has been involved in while we've got these nincompoops in charge at the top. And I want to make it clear tonight, folks, the rank and file, I don't have nothing bad to say about the rank and file. I do have something to say about the jackasses in D.C. And what did James say? The numbnuts in charge? That was the priceless. That was the priceless. Oh, mercy. Anyway. The numbnuts in charge in D.C. I'm not just talking about the one at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But I'm talking about the ones in charge of the bureaucracy over our nation. I am upset with them because this DEI stuff is going to be the death of this country on all levels. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow night with Eric Karen because he's a former federal agent too. And DEI is part of what got Eric canned about 15 years ago when he was trying to secure our border and do some things for this country that needed to be done, and the government didn't like it, and they didn't do some nice things to him. And we're going to talk to him not about the past, but the future. And then we've got Lori Mills, our dear friend from California. She was watching Trump tonight. She would have come on tonight, but it worked out perfectly. The 4 people we had on tonight is who we needed on. And we're going to get Ricky Wilson back on a week from tonight. Ricky will be with me Monday night week, a week from tonight. But I want to announce tonight, we have got a wonderful new guest, Susan Gingrich. Yes, that Gingrich. She is the sister of the former House Speaker, lives here in Knoxville, and got to meet her 3 years ago at an event that Dr. Smith put on for us. And she is a fired up conservative, and she's a woman of faith. You're going to love her. And Friday night, she makes her McFiles debut. She had sort of been thinking about it for 3 years, and I'm glad the Lord laid it on her heart to come on the show. And I think with everything that's happened, she's ready to talk. And we're going to find out a little bit about her family, Newton. You're going to love this interview with her Friday night at 8 o'clock. I still got Bill Federer, still got Alice Linehan, still got Holly Pavek. I got 3 pre-recorded interviews that we got to play at some point. But with the way the world has been the last 2 weeks, it's not, just haven't been able to. So we're going to throw that in somewhere. We may do it on a Wednesday night. So, it's going to be a wild, wild West week. Do you like my $6 special coat I got? I like this USA jacket and the cowboy hat. There's a new sheriff in town around here. There's a new sheriff around in town. There's a new sheriff around in town. Anyway, if you got something to say it now. Forever hold your peace. It's 11:43. It's 11:43. 333. 11:43. Anything? Brilliant man, Jeannie, he is. James is vastly brilliant. Dennis says this country is in this mess because many of us turned our backs on God. If given another chance, would we not do the same thing? Dennis, country's had its back on God long before Donald Trump. I mean, I agree with the sentiment. I do. Look, the country's in a mess. It's a spiritual mess, Dennis. It is. And it is filtered over into our politics. It's filtered over into our society. There's no guarantee the country's coming back spiritually. What we can only hope for and pray for is that President Trump gets back in office and slows this train of destruction down. Look, what he's going to face, folks, let's listen. What he faces over the next 4 years is nothing compared to what he faced in 2016 when he won in 2016. It's a different country. We have changed in 8 years. And not for the best. There are forces that are here, people that are here. There are elements in this country that are here that have been implanted on purpose for its destruction. There have been policies put in place for its destruction. This financial crash, this meltdown of our markets, the meltdown of our banks, the meltdown of our currency, the meltdown that the left has instituted. Folks, these incidents, the train car derailment in Ohio a few years ago with Buttigieg and his response, the pathetic response to that, those chemicals in those waters, this hurricane in Houston, Texas, the Biden administration slow to release federal funds, playing politics, and he's done it before with other red states when disasters have hit, Florida. Look, what Trump is going to face, he's going to need a young man with him. And that's another reason I'm glad it's J.D. Vance. I think that J.D. Vance is going to be the energy that he's going to need to keep him for 4 years facing what he's got to face. Because he's going to need all hands on deck. And I love what James said tonight before we left. If you got an issue with Vance, sleep on it tonight. Hit your pillow, throw your pillow on the floor, stamp it off. Throw the feathers up. Call Chris every name in the book. Get a picture of Chris McDonald and throw darts at it all night. Spit on it. If you got a picture of J.D. Vance and you want to throw darts at it, throw darts at it, spit on it. Get it out of your system. Because come tomorrow, going forward, we cannot afford disunity in this party. And we cannot be a divided party. A movement. I really would say it's more of a movement. We cannot be a divided movement. A divided kingdom cannot stand. And it will not stand. The other side is committed to their cause. We had better get committed to ours. And folks, think about this tonight. They have tried everything to destroy Donald Trump over the last 4 years especially. But really since 2016. This goes back 8 years. This is an 8-year onslaught. Joe Biden is one. I mean, he literally, folks, how we don't understand. I don't think most people understand the danger that we're in tonight because of him. And I'm not making fun of this. I've told you how I feel about his personal health. It's nothing to laugh at. It's a serious issue with the danger that he presents as leader of this country and the world. Because he's the world leader, the leader of the free world. That's what the president's always called. The office is greater than the man. But there are Democrats out there, and James said it wonderfully, beautifully. 30% of the country is going to vote for him. It don't matter. It don't matter if there's a picture that surfaces of them hauling him in a wheelchair every day of his natural born life till he dies. If he passes of the next cycle, or he makes it through another 4 years, we don't know. Physically, the man's 80 years old. His health is not good. But they don't care how close he is to that point. And all this call for him to step down, it still is not going to move the barometer, folks, on that 30% of the country. They're going to vote for Joe Biden no matter what. We are going to get some people. We're going to get the independents, I think, to swing back to Trump this election cycle. But I want to caution you and say something that Tony Branco said. He said it perfectly tonight, too. All of our guests had a nugget. All of them had great comments, great points. We don't elect presidents in July. I don't care how good it looks for our side tonight. We don't elect presidents in July. There's never been an election held in July for the president. Never will be. We do elect presidents on November the 5th of 2024. And we had better fight, like you know what, between now and then. And as James beautifully said too, get your whatever issue you got with this ticket out of your system. We need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck. And I'll leave in myself. I'll leave in myself on that one. Mark Gayson, good to see you, buddy. And you don't stop, yo, says, people saying what happened to President Trump on Saturday was fake so he can get more votes has really got me upset. You know, I saw the same garbage. Those people like that, don't let them upset you. Those people like that, look at it this way. Things could be worse. You could be them. And you're not. I understand you being upset. Don't be upset. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it and give it an audience. That's my advice. Don't give it an audience. Everyone has to vote, Rosemary. Unbelievably right. Everybody's got to vote. Everybody's got to vote. Carol Smith so beautifully said, winning one battle does not win a war. Boom, Carol. Apple of the day. You're up late with me tonight. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Carol's one of our Bible students in the morning on our Faith Network. And a good friend. We got to meet her in Ohio. Winning a battle does not mean we win the war. That is so beautifully said. And we on the right, we're bad about that. We win a battle, and then we throw the victory away over something nitpicking, and we lose a war. Good statement. Good statement. Cedric Gibbons says, I'm voting 30 times or so this time. They're going to try to vote that many times, Cedric, on the Democratic side. They will. They will. They will. Carol, I love what you said. She says, we don't always see the results of our prayers, but we sure did Saturday. And you know something, Carol, we did. That is so true. That's well said. Folks, that's why we pray for President Trump. I think that is so well said. I got to show you one thing before I leave tonight. It's late. I got to show you this. Somebody sent me this, and I can't remember who it was. It was mentioned to me, and I went and found it. Right before this shot fired out, the flag that was above President Trump's head got tangled up, and it resembled an angel before he arrived. Now, I'm not reading into anything there, but that is interesting. Maybe it was a little heads up that God alone prevented this unthinkable from happening, and President Trump to his knees. And we all need to be on our knees tonight, praying for this country and praying for each other. Interesting. 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 All righty. Looking forward to the VP debate. Got my popcorn ready. Liz, amen to that. Elaine says her too. Elaine says after the attempted assassination, North Carolina approval rating of Trump went up to 82%. That's incredible. That's incredible, Elaine Willard. Because North Carolina's been a purple state. There's been some years that it's went blue. There's been some years it's went red. It's become a battleground state, and the Dems have pretty much owned it. That's interesting. That does not bode well for the Blue Party. The Blue Party. Liz, I'm with you. I'm with you. I just pray for J.D. Vance tonight, folks. Look, he's a kid. He's a 37-year-old kid. He just is. To me, he's a kid. My son's that age. And what he's going to be facing, none of us probably would want to face it as a seasoned 50, 60-year-old man or woman. He's a 37-year-old kid. We're going to need to pray for him. And we're going to need to be patient with him. And as I said this, and I'll say this again as I close tonight, he's going to make his mistakes, folks. He's going to make his mistakes. He just will. Let's be patient with him, okay? Let's be patient with him and pray for him. Anyway, interesting. Interesting stuff. 82%. That's it. Janet says, I heard thousands of illegals were dropped off in Springfield, Ohio from Haiti. Do you think there might be hanky-panky to get them to vote? Janet, is the Pope Catholic? Of course. But that's why we need you that's out there to get down to them polls and become a poll watcher. Let no hanky-panky go on. Now, this is a nearly 2.5 hour show tonight, and I'm going to say goodnight now. We hope you've enjoyed the network show tonight. We will be back tomorrow night. No shows tomorrow during the day. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock with Eric, and then Lori comes on around 10:30, something like that. Both shows are going to be, Eric's show will last 40 minutes. Lori's will last about 40 minutes. So we're not going to be on 3 hours tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, our Faith Fellowship. Then Brad Johnson returns Thursday night, and we may play one of the recorded interviews, and we'll have a new show. We'll always try to take your questions. Trump Bench 2024. Be blessed out there tonight, and I hope you have a good night's rest. I'll see you tomorrow. We've got a lot of announcements we'll make on Wednesday night about some upcoming things with the network. Thank you all for being with me tonight. It's been a long night. Hope you've enjoyed our guests. Thanks to Magdalene Rose. Thanks to Tony Branco. Thanks to James Akers. And last but not least, thanks to Pirate Radio's James R. and my dear friend. God bless you guys out there. Take care of yourself. Have a good night, everybody. And I will see you when I see you tomorrow evening with the one and only Eric C. and Lori Mittens. Good night.